So, what happened? Obalie was the Oba then, and because of how our people's history is tied to that of the Great Benin Kingdom, the children of Ezechima journeyed to Idu to sort out their problem. Now, when I say the children of Ezechima journeyed to Idu, I'm referring to Obio and Odibo, direct children.
Thanks for clicking on this channel. Please subscribe to FO's blog history and click on the notification button so that whenever we upload a new video you will be notified. Asashima was never Arochukwu native doctor or fought with Oba of Benin's mother, says Josh Akeh. We at FO's blog history have listened to Josh Akeh and he made a valued hypothesis regarding the origin of Ezechima. If you watch his video carefully you will agree with him that Ezechima never Arochukwu native doctor, or was in Benin and fought with Oba's mother over trampled on his farmland. Just imagine what these Igbo revisionists said about Ezechima, an Arochukwu native doctor who fought with the mother of the Benin monarch for collecting his firewood in the farm. According to Josh Akeh, who critically analyzes their hypothesis. He said, firstly, there's nothing in this world or in the world to come that will make the mother of the Benin monarch go to farmland in the first place. The Inyoba lives in a palace in Usulu and is so revered till date, that the idea of her entering a farm to collect firewood is not only laughable but highly impossible. Secondly, the Benin tradition prior to Obalie I-505 to 1550, was such that the mother had to be killed after the crowning of her son as an Oba. This is why Queen Idia is regarded as the first Inyoba of Benin, because she was the first queen mother to live through her son, Obalie reign, therefore, leaves us with the question of whom the so-called Asashima fought with at the farm. At the time that they had placed their own Asashima, typically in the 10th to 12th century or mostly dateless, there were no queen mothers in Benin. History is not tales by moonlight, you must be ready to do the research so that your articles must have relatable evidence. Please sit down and watch as Josh Akeh gives critical analysis and debunks the claim of these revisionists.
There are so many reasons why we would love to discuss about Inuan history, our own history as a people, because the world is changing. A lot of people would rather throw culture away and throw tradition away than embrace it. Of course, in the olden days, tradition too get a problem, because you will understand that African tradition was shredded in a lot of darkness. A lot of darkness. There were things about the African tradition that one would not want to be associated with in the past. I don't think I would need to want to mention some of those things, but it's the truth. There are a lot of unpleasantries. That's the English word I'm looking for. Unpleasantries about the African tradition, the African way of life, which I don't even think is very peculiar to Africans alone, but the Africans did a lot of things in their tradition that one would consider to be very unpleasant. And so, after Christianity came, and a lot of people wanted to just come on hand. And all of that. So a lot of people would rather not even associate themselves with it. But like every system that we are celebrating today, everybody has a very dark history. I'm not going to start mentioning how this religion had a dark history, that religion had a dark history. But we are very much aware that every religion on earth today had a very bad history. But obviously the people have been able to move away from their dark history and move on to better things, to more interesting things, to things that people would now want to associate themselves with. The rest of the world has, reason to that reality, and a busy ordinary. You look at how the Chinese have modernized their Hindu and all of their worship and all of that, and given it a new face. It doesn't mean it didn't have a very dark history. Even Christianity had a very, a history that one could say wasn't very palatable, but with time, people are beginning now to see that the past should remain in the past and the present should be developed. So one would say, why is a young man like myself very much interested in history? Because I believe African history ordinarily still has a lot of positivity around it that people can be a part of, and people are proud to be a part of. And that is why I am very much particular about our Inuane history, about our Istiluku history. Welcome. I hope you can hear me. Please, if the volume is good, because let me know so that I know that I'm doing the right. If you can hear me, just probably give a like or just drop a comment that you can hear me, so that when I start the Ezechima story proper, I'm sure that I'm being heard. If you can hear me, just please let me know. Drop a comment or drop a like, anything. Just give me an indication that the volume, I can see the volume is good here, but I just need to know that I'm being heard properly. So before we dive into it, so all right, now growing up in how do I put this now so it doesn't look like okay, so growing up, the Inuane history has never been in contention as much as it is right now. We have had people of different tribes live, with us, amongst us, be a part of us, follow us, in celebrating some of the things that we celebrate as a people. But our origin has never been in question as much as it is in today's reality. So much so that someone would even assume for a second that Ezechima was a native doctor from Arochukwu or from Nri or from any such place. And that Ezechima went to Benin. He was harbored in Benin, was living in Benin, was a native doctor to the Oba. The Oba's mom. Now, see where the story begins to lose value. See where stories like that begin to lose value. Iobanedo. That's the mother of the Oba of Benin. It's not a very small title. It's not. In fact, there are Benin scholars who would argue that in the ancient times, before the Oba is crowned, correct me if I'm wrong, and sorry to my Benin brothers, but as a student of history, I've read this in several texts, that there were times in Benin history where the mother of the Oba had to be killed before the Oba comes to the throne. Correct me if I'm wrong. Just correct me if I'm wrong. This is me just blotting out what I've read somewhere. It's not my own story. And one could only imagine why such a thing. It is to show the high level of influence the Oba's mother must have had. And to think that an Yoba would go to farm in Benin, the mother of the reigning Oba would be found in the farm, and a certain Ezechima and his followers would even attempt to ferment trouble with her, and that the Ezechima and the mother of the Oba met in the farm. What in God's holy name would take Yoba to farm? The mother of the Oba of Benin is not one you'd find in the farm. What? Impossible. You can't find the mother of the Oba of Benin in a farm. So much so, the Oba's mother is now exchanging words with a foreigner who lives in Benin. So much so that the foreigner is now picking trouble with the mother of the Oba of Benin. You see, when you tell history, it's important that you understand that history has branches. You can never, as a matter of fact, find the Oba's mother in your farm by herself farming. One of the most interesting histories of the Yobas in Benin is that of Idia, Queen Idia. And she is not really much recognized because of her farming skills. The mother of the Oba of Benin, Idia, was almost a warrior woman. In fact, she led so many of the Ida wars in Benin history. Powerful woman. So the fact that you would tell me that there was a certain Yoba who went to farm and met an Ezechima and they started fighting or quarreling with Oba's mother, and whoever that was alive to run from Benin is impossible. The royal family in Benin is treated like it's treated with so much respect. Now, when you tell some of these stories, it's important that you know what you're saying. You might be Akbali on way. That's what you do. You just show that you don't know anything and that you don't want to learn. So let's cancel that one first. There was never a time that a certain Ezechima was in the farm and the Oba's mother came to farm and they were fighting, and she had to leave. Ezechima had to run. You can't do that. You can't tell history stories like that. You just make the rest of us look very funny. You make the rest of us look very, very, very funny. So I've written a lot on this Ezechima story. I think I need to close this window. 1 minute. See if I have a better view. Okay. Yeah. I think I have a better view. Not sure. So, who is Ezechima? No, definitely not the better view. Who is Ezechima? And why is Ezechima's story? Why is Ezechima's story very important for all of anyone in history? Why is it very important? Why? There are at least 16. Originally, traditionally, there are at least 16 clans that make up the Ezechima clan. At least 16. Originally, is what I'm saying. Originally, there are, I think, 16 clans that make up the Ezechima clan. So you can understand why this is very important and why we have to talk about it. Because I believe strongly that the Ezechima story has so many implications for our people. So many implications. And that if we don't talk about it, somebody else would talk about it for us. So, this is how I want to talk about Ezechima's story. And I want to talk about it in a way that anytime you come across this video, you would leave this video with more Ezechima's story important. Why do I feel it's important? Because there are at least 17 communities within what is now being referred to as Ezechima clan. At least 17. What that means is there is a lot of importance as regards the Ezechima story, because the population. Facebook, you will not stop me today. I'm really sorry, guys. Facebook and in Wahala. Okay. So, like I said, there are at least 17 communities within the Ezechima enclosure. At least 17. Iseluku, Obio, Onuchubu, Onicholona, Obompa, Ezi, Onichuku, Isilasa, Iselempitime, all of that. At least 17 within the Ezechima enclosure. So this is huge. This is big and it's important. So who is Ezechima? Who is Ezechima? See, I prepared a family tree. A family tree. Because of how important this Ezechima story is. First of all, Ezechima is not an alien. The story of Ezechima is not similar to what you could call the Ogiso stories, where they were god kings and, you know, Ezechima fell from the sky. Nor is it the Oduduwa story, the Yoruba mythology, where Oduduwa came down from the sky, which is, these are individual stories of different people. But Ezechima is not a ghost. Ezechima did not appear out of nothing. He wasn't, you know, just from nothing, just came. According to Awenuani's story, Ezechima had a father. But so that you don't think I'm biased with my own narrative about Ezechima, we'll leave Ezechima's father. Just know in your heart that Ezechima has a father. Know that one first. Now, Ezechima, having had a father, was privileged to have a brother, according to our Enuani history, because this is where it begins to get very interesting. Ezechima had a brother. His brother was called Anaba. Ezechima's brother was called Anaba. In fact, this is important. If you go to Obompa today, ask for Ogwa Anaba, so that it do not look as if Joshua Waka Tonto, Amanamife Neku, Nanjos, Ordinary Go. it's something that I learned vividly from my father and from my own research, but my father instilled history and tradition into me. And then by virtue of studying and all of that, I've been able to have my own few experiences and few knowledges about, if you're Basala or the Nanyai. So I said, let's leave Ezechima's father out of the question. And let us go to who? Let us go to Ezechima himself. So what I want to do is I want to discuss the family tree before we even go into any problems that led to disintegration and any other thing. Thank you, Onyisi Augustine. Thank you. Welcome, sir. Welcome. Samson Yakubu. Thank you. Welcome. So we are leaving Ezechima's father. Fine. So let's leave Ezechima's father by the wayside. So let's discuss Ezechima now. He had a brother called Anaba. And like I've said, if you're bothered that probably I'm not sure or I'm lying, then go to Obonkpa. There's Ogwa Anaba today, and it's one of the ruling relics, the ruling, lineages of Obonkpa today. Ogwa Anaba is there. It's there till tomorrow. Go and verify. If I'm wrong, come and tell me. I'll buy you beer and apologize. But it's there. So, established. Ezechima. Look, we assume. In no get papa. No problem. Agreed. But he had a brother called Anaba. Now, Ezechima, by virtue of the fact that he's bearing the name Eze. Now, that word Eze is an appellation. An appellation for king in Benin history. It's an appellation. Let me give you another appellation so that you understand now. Oge. Oge is another appellation for king. How do I know? The Olu of Warri, is called Ogiame. Now, you cannot give the full name of the Olu of Warri without including Ogi. Ame. What does Ogi mean? King. Ame, water, sea. So the Olu of Warri is regarded as the king of waters. Why? Because Warri is a riverine area, it's surrounded by water. So Eze is an appellation. Ogi is an appellation. We have to get that one clear. Eze is an appellation. Ogi is an appellation. So Ezechima now, we are not looking. You would love this. If you can have the patience, you would love this. We are not looking for the meaning of Ezechima as a compound word. Now that word, that sentence, Ezechima, is not a single word. It's divided. So you have to bring out the Eze and then leave the Chima on one side. So you have two words. The same way you will have Obi something. Let's say Obi Chukwuemeke. Because these two are pronounced in the same breath, you might want to imagine that they are the same. But thank God today we know that if somebody is a king and his name is Obi Chukwuemeke, we can bring out the Obi, that is not his name, that the Chukwuemeke is his name. So Ezechima, we have to circle Eze to one side, circle Chima to one side. So the problem we're dealing now is Chima. That aside. So Ezechima had a brother Anaba, Obokpa, that exists. Now Ezechima had his own children, 3. Ezechima had first Obio. After he had Obio, he had Oisa, which is Orisha, which is now called Onitsha. After that, he had Origbo, Origbo, which is, our language has gone through a lot of coagulation, which is now Olibo. Do you understand that? Which is now Olibo. So Ezechima had 3 children. He had Obio first. First was Obio. After he had Obio, he had who? Who did he have again? He had Onitsha. Then he had Olibo. 3 children. 3 children. No problem. I'll talk about the Chima before I continue. No problem. It's not a problem. I said today, book full. If like I said, if you're patient enough, at the end of today, everybody who comes across this video, and the good thing about videos like this is that they go into generations. Anybody who comes across this video becomes an authority in Ezechima story. That is what I'm trying to do. The Bible will say you're not being tossed around by doctrines here and there. You stand firm. Because I'm going to give dates, I'm going to give historical structures, physical today, that you can go and say, Kika Joshua, now, just to answer your question, but I didn't want to drift, but let me finish that. Since we're dealing with etymology, etymology. So we said Ezechima is not a compound word. For you to begin to understand the story of Ezechima, you have to bring Eze out, bring Chima out. Understanding that Eze is a Benin appellation. Appellation go deka afo tutu. Network problems. Can you hear me? Sorry, I'm having serious network problems here. So, appellation bo afro tutu. It's almost like the senior man. It's almost like something like that. So that's an appellation. Understand that? Very important. So Eze is an appellation. Chima is a corruption of a word. In fact, the way I demystified the Chima name, it goes through almost 6 layers of changes. 6. The original name was Ihimi. Then we had a progression to Kimi. Then we had a progression to Chime. It is very important in mind that Chime is what Agwachime, a sub-quarter in Iseluku, is still called till today. Agwachime is not called Agwachima. Like some people will say, go and verify. What you have today as Chima is a Chima. It has never been Chima. It's Chime. Was a corruption of the original one, but now you're seeing that it was Chime at a point. Which is why you have somewhere like Agwachime. You don't have Agwachima. Agwachime is not a place that has gone into extinction. Agwachime is a place that exists today. Go and verify. It is a place existing in Iseluku till date. Agwachime. And I will explain what Agwachime means. and the essence of Agwachime in Ezechima's story. I'll explain it. So the name moved from Ihinwi. And the problem with Benin words is that if you're trying to learn the Benin language outside of Benin, I really pity you. Because they have vowels and consonant sounds that your tongue will be you're trying to pronounce it. So there was Ihimi, 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 Ihimi. You see? Then there was Kimi. There was Chime. We now arrived today at Chima. The word Chime, Chime, Agwachime, Agwachime, Chime does not have Chime, Chime, the way it's pronounced Agwachime. The Chime does not have necessarily an Igbo meaning. It was made Chima so that it will have a meaning to our people who have now lost their language and now started speaking the Ika Igbo language. Because if you leave it at Chime, it does not have any Ikaibo meaning at Chime. I hope you understand the whole thing behind this thing. If you leave it at Chime, it has no meaning until you bring it to Chima. Hey, okay, I waga Chima. Yabuna, Chukuma. That is when it now begins to have an Ikaibo meaning. But if you leave it at Chime, which is not even the original, but is closer to the original, it doesn't have an Ikaibo meaning. Chime does not mean anything in Ikaibo. But when you bring it to Chima, when our people started losing our languages and brought it to Chima, it now started to make more sense. Because when you leave it at Chima, Chime, like Agwachime, Chime, if you leave it at Chime, which is Agwachime, you will not give you so much of an Ikaibo meaning. So they had to bring it to Chima. Have light. 1 minute, guys. I need to on fan. I'm burning up here. So, if you leave it, sorry about that, this is hot. If you leave it at Chime, it has no Ikaibo meaning. But when you bring it to Chima, oh yes, everybody will say, ah yes, I can understand. Chima begins to have an Ikaibo meaning behind it. So, know that Ezechima is not a compound word. There are two words fused like that. Eze and Chima. For you to make meaning of it, like I said before, Iwepu Eze Idemofuso. Iwepu Echima Idemofuso. My Eze is a Benin appellation. I've explained appellation because we have appellations like Ogiame. The same way the Ogis of Iseluku, the original kings of Iseluku were called Ogi, which is where you have Ogi Owadie, Ohania, Ogi Osamala, Ogi Isile, Ogiame in Wari, Ogi Isile in Iseluku. The Wari people are original descendants of Benin. Original from Iginua, original descendants of Benin. They are not arguing it, there's no quarrel about that one. So Ogiame as an appellation, Eze as an appellation. Understand these two things, so that when we are discussing Ezechima, it will make more sense to you. Alright, so Ezechima had 3 children. Obio was the first child. First child. and a female. The second was Onitsha. Let me just start using the names now so that I don't want to confuse anybody, because we're getting into it now. Obio was the first child. Onitsha was the second child. Olibo was the third and baby of the house, as you would call it. So these were Ezechima children as they were. So I need to make this call. So these were Ezechima children. There was Obio, there was Onitsha, and there was Olibo. Onitsha had Ohezi. Onitsha had Ohezi. So I'm giving you the family genealogy of Ezechima. So Ezechima had a brother called Anaba, which is towards that of Bumper axis, was where they migrated to. Now, Ezechima had his own children, 3, Obio, Onitsha, Olibo. Onitsha had Ohezi. Onitsha had Ohezi. Now, Ohezi had 2 children. Ohezi had 2 children, Abba and Chimevi. If you check the chronology or the list of the kings of Onitsha, you would find Ohezi at the top of it. You would find Chimevi before you start finding any other additional people to that throne. Chimuku, Tasie, who was the regent, and the rest of them all. But you would find Chimevi. You would find Chimevi after Ohezi. Now I'm talking about Onitsha's children now. Onitsha. You would have Orisha. Onitsha, which is Orisha, had Ohezi. Ohezi had Abba and Chimevi. Abba was senior to Chimevi, but then Chimevi was more warrior-like and was able to defeat Abba, chased Abba down back to our axis, and became the third Obi of Onitsha on that chronological order. So what happened to Ezechima as a king? Ezechima was there as a king. You understand, is for him to have the appellation Eze, he was a king. So what happened? While Ezechima was still king in 1484, Ezechima was still king. Had 3 children, Obio, he had Onitsha, and he had Olibo. Onitsha died while his father was still alive. He died. I think at this point I'll have to mention this. The thing about Enuani history, when it comes to succession, by succession, if you mean is not always based on first son. Yes, it is primogenitary. I do have to speak that English. It's always based on first son. But there is such a thing as being the first son, and there is such a thing as being the heir apparent. 2 different things in Enuani history. 2 different things. There is such a thing as being the first son, and there is such a thing as being the heir apparent. The heir apparent is almost like it is a ritual, so to speak, that makes somebody a heir apparent. We've had situations in the history of Iseluku, for example, where 2 children were born. One was born at least a day before, and for fear of what might happen if he was presented to his father, the king, they hid him. The other one was presented, who was younger, and the rituals of heir apparent was performed, and he became the heir apparent to the throne. So you understand it. So it's possible for someone not to be the first child, and then the ritual of heir apparent is performed on them, giving them the authorities to be the heir apparent. I hope you understand what I'm saying. It's part of the whole cosmology, whatever that is informed. I don't even know why I said this, but it's just out there. So Onitsha was the heir apparent by virtue of being the first son. But unfortunately, before Onitsha could ascend the throne of his father, he died. Onitsha Munaya Nadia. And for that reason alone, he could no longer be addressed as the heir apparent because he had died. You don't call a dead person a heir apparent. I hope you understand what I'm saying. He died while his father was alive. So when he died, that privilege had to move to somebody else, because obviously a dead person cannot be a king. So he had died while his father was alive. So Onitsha Munaya Nadia. So later on, in 1505, Ezechima himself passed away. And so I think this is really important now that I speak about this heir apparency thing, because it is the heir apparent's duty to Dokwama Nadia. It's the duty of the heir apparent. No other person has that right. So it became a tussle, and whoever was allowed to handle that burial obviously would have the right to be the king afterwards. So that problem started. So what happened? Obalie was the Oba then, and because of how our people's history is tied to that of the Great Benin Kingdom, the children of Ezechima journeyed to Idu to sort out their problem. Now, when I say the children of Ezechima journeyed to Idu, I'm referring to Obio and Odibo, direct children. But at the point of the death of Onitsha, he had his son, Oheze. So Oheze was claiming that he should be allowed to bury his grandfather. Because when I was talking about heir apparency, so I think it's even important that I mentioned it. Oheze was saying, my father was the heir apparent, and by right should have buried his father. So I'm inheriting my father. But you cannot inherit somebody who did not inherit something. So Onitsha did not live to see his inheritance being materialized. In other words, he wasn't able to enjoy what he had prepared all his life to enjoy, which was, the stole of kingship. So the question to Oheze, the son of Onitsha, now is, how do you want to enjoy the privileges that your father did not enjoy? Yes, your father was heir apparent. Yes, your father would have being the king at the death of your grandfather, but your father never lived to see the reality of, the throne. And obviously he's not even around to bury his father, which would even solidify him as the next in line for the throne. So obviously he wasn't happy about it. He just kept insisting. That's what he kept insisting that, he's going to be the king and all that. Obi, on one hand, had her own claim that as the first child, she has every right to the throne. But we can also understand that in African history, women are not necessarily allowed to ascend the throne. Because of history, we have one female, I don't want to call name because I need to be sure of things I'm saying. We had one in Yoruba land. It didn't go too well. So in African history, even till this day, women, even though they are first children, they are not allowed to ascend the throne. Especially in there is actually now a regent somewhere in Yoruba land. Is a woman. Follow her on Instagram. Very popular. But the norm is that women are not allowed to ascend the throne. Any throne at all. Any traditional throne at all, like that. So that's why you have something like the Omo group, being there, as sort of an institution that would elevate the women in the society, which I think is a very brilliant idea. Ndi Omo has always been a part of our history, So Omo institution before gonna awesome shine. Makono ndi boko, the name gives them a big status in our African setting. Very important. Very, very important. And people like Omoma Debunking should be really commended. Makolo. So let's go back. So Obio had her own claim. First child. And I can understand her claim, First child. Come on. Cut her some slack. First child. So Obio had her claim to the throne. Olibo, the last child, had his own claim to the throne because he was a direct son of Ezechima. Direct son of Ezechima. So he had his own claim to the throne. He had his own claim to the throne. So all of them packed themselves. Jamie Idu. By Idu, I mean, they went to Benin at the palace of Oba Ezechima to resolve the issues. And I think for the fact that they would even go there, it shows how much history Aweno and the people had with the Benin people. So when they got to the palace, trust Benin people. The first thing they did, trust Benin people. The first thing they did was to strike out the claim of Obio because she was a woman. So the problem has now narrowed down to Ohezi, the son of Onitsha, who would have been the king but died, and Olibo, the surviving son of Ezechima. By common knowledge, you would understand. By common knowledge, you will understand that now that Obio had been removed from the picture because she's a woman, you have a direct son, which is Olibo. And then now you have a grandson, which is Ohezi. By logic and by simple reasoning, everybody would say Olibo should have it. Because even as much as Onitsha was the heir apparent to the throne, he never ascended the throne. Ya bụ na ori n'ugwu na dia orine, so it's almost unreasonable. So that was how his claim knocked out. So they were left with Olibo. But at the introduction of Olibo at the palace of the Oba of Benin, because till tomorrow, if you visit at the Oba of Palace, they would have to introduce you. In fact, not too far ago, I brought somebody to the palace in Iseluku, and I was put on the spot to introduce who I brought. So if you bring somebody to a king's palace, the protocol is that you would stand up, you greet, you introduce the people. So that was where the word Obi came from the introductory message that was given at the palace. It said, Ovi se. Ovi ise. Now, the Benin people are very interesting people. Why did they say Ovi ise? Now, who is ise? You see, when you want to talk about history, it's important that you put everything into perspective. Now, we have seen that Ogi is an appellation. Eze is an appellation. Now we have come with a new one, Ovi. The word OVBI, which is now being corrupted as OBI, because OVBI, if you're not a Benin man, I'm sorry for you, you will not be able to pronounce it. Ovi, you will bite tongue. So it's called Obi now, but originally it's called Ovi, which is what it is still being called in Benin till tomorrow. Ovi means son, child is another thing, son or children or sons. So at the introductory stage, they say Ovi se. I'm not saying Ovi Isileuku, because Isileuku is the original name of Iseluku. But what they said was Ovi Ise. So who is Ise? And why are the children of Ezechima being referred to at the palace of the Oba of Benin as Ovi Ise, Umu Ise? Okay. So register that name, Ise. ISE. Keep it somewhere. Remember I said register Ovise, Ise, ISE. Register that name, keep it somewhere. We'll come back to it later. And when we do, you will understand why I said register that name, Ise. So at the end of that judgment, Olibo won the judgment. And as it is custom, he had to stay in Benin to understudy the rudiments of kingship. What it means to be a king. You know, be a part of the royal court and see how decisions are being made. Learn Uje. It is from there that he is being taught Kwasi Emuje. Emuje is ideally how the king dances with the Abani or Eben. The king is not a dancer. The king Emuje. Two different things. So Olibo had to stay back while Obio and Oheze lost the case and were sent back. On getting back, Oheze ransacked the palace. Completely ransacked the palace. left with one very important thing amongst every other thing of Ezechima. He left with it. First, stopped at Onicholona. From there, he moved on to Ezi. Him stopping at Ezi was because his wife had become pregnant and gave birth, and that place is called Eziuzo. Is still in existence. From there, he moved and crossed to Onitsha. And that is why the Onitsha people are considered as Ezechima till date. Till date. Onitsha Ezechima, Onitsha, Onitsha Adonidu. They are part of the Ezechima pack. It was because Oheze was the one that established Onitsha after he had lost the kingship tussle in Benin. Crossed over, first establishing Onicholona, which is why Onicholona is part of the Ezechima clan, Ezi, and finally having to settle at Onitsha, where he gave birth to Abba and Chimevi, and the rest is history. Obio, on the other hand, continue, Tibo Igwe. I hope I'm being heard. Welcome, my brother. Welcome. Thank you, Chibo. So that is how Oheze moved. I'm not trying to remove him from the picture, but I'm just saying Oheze moved. Him and his people moved. Onicholona, Ezi, and Onitsha in present-day Anambra State. So Onitsha people are our people. Onitsha people are our people. Till date, till tomorrow. Onitsha people are our people. So what happened? Obio, at that time, was already married to Obalie, who was a chief. Now, the chieftaincy title that Obalie holds is called Akogu. Akogu. If you were at the festival, Iseluku festival, maybe 4 or 5 years ago, the Oba sent chiefs, and that time the Akogu just Bahafone or Bahogwa Ganaka. And so the Obi of Iseluku asked my father, the erudite historian, to, as Dine was going on, he asked my father to give the Benin chiefs a brief history of Akogu title. And they were told that Akogu was a title that Obaye Nogidigan, the first, which is why we have the Obaye the second now, used to live in Iseluku when there was a problem, a bit of a problem with, the whole kinship thing in Benin he had with his brother or so. So he was in Iseluku for a while. And because he was the Oba's son, the Obi of Iseluku did not want him to live as an ordinary person. So what did he do? He gave him the title Akogu. And the Benin chiefs, to my hearing, I'm not saying I wasn't there, I was right there inside the Oba, confirmed the title as Aisogu. I've also heard another Benin historian saying is Akoka. Either way, Obaye Nogidigan the first had lived in Iseluku and had a title, Akoka or Aisogu. The chiefs had said, to my hearing, there is Aisogu, that's Akogu, Aisogu, because as at then he was Prince Ogun. Ogun was what his princely name was. But now he's being called Akogu as a chieftaincy title. And the Benin chiefs just 4 years ago called it Aisogu, to my hearing. Although a Benin historian says it's Akoka But either way, they agree that Obalie the first was at Iseluku at some point and had a chieftaincy title, which the husband of Oba Obalie held. He held that title called Akogu. He held that title called Akogu. So, on returning back, there are other aspects, some things they did that I don't want to talk about that one. It's history and I wasn't there. But when they came back, they moved and settled in Obio and founded Obio. At least anybody that knows the history of Obio knows that Obio was founded by a woman, the daughter of Ezechima. Now, what happened? Afterwards, after Ozuzueze, that Olibo stayed back in Benin for, he returned to Iseluku. Returned to Iseluku and inherited his father as the king. Which brings me to this, and I think this is very important because this is why Iseluku would say they are ahead of Ezechima clan, and it will look like we're fighting. We're not fighting with anybody. We're not even distorting history. We're not distorting history. So it is okay. Let me just finish this before I come back. Now, when Oheze went to Onitsha, he had two children. He had Abba and he had Chimevi. Abba was older. Like I've always said, being older does not necessarily mean he would be heir apparent or he'd be king. In the olden days, it used to be really tough. Really, really tough. So, Abba was older than Chimevi. But Chimevi was stronger. I'm talking about Omo Oheze. Oheze is the son of Onitsha. Onitsha is his male first son of Ezechima. So Oheze's children, Abba and Chimevi. Abba was older, but Chimevi was more warrior-like. So Chimevi defeated Abba in the quest of who would be the king after their father. So Abba ran back and established other kingdoms. I'm saying other kingdoms because I don't want to call anybody's name, so I don't want anybody to be offended. But those that Abba founded, they know it was Abba that founded them. And they are still all part of Ezechima clan. One big, large family. I said there are at least 16 or 17 clans that make up Ezechima. Because that is why I'm very, very particular about this. Imagine destroying the history of 17 different kingdoms by saying that Ezechima was an Igbo man. You have completely destroyed the history of 17 kingdoms. So that when we are talking about Ezechima, we're not saying just because we just want to have views on Facebook and we want to talk and we are protecting the image of 17, at least 17 different clans. So it's a big deal. It's a big deal. It's a huge, huge deal. So Abba came, left the throne for Chimevi. Ogano like Wala. Not Onasogu. So Chimevi continued as the Obi of Onitsha. Chemazia, Onitsha, and all that. Abba and Ohazia, Bahasa Edain, and established other, kingdoms and other places. So Olibo came back to Iseluku. Because I'm already trying to wrap this up, but I need to mention why they were called. I said hold OVC, hold it in your pocket somewhere, because I'll need to mention that. But I also need to mention okay, I think I've covered everything. But I want to mention this. Why Iseluku regards herself as head of Ezechima clan. So let's use logic for this one, and it will make sense, trust me. Oligbo, in fact, every Ezechima clan understands the Oligbo is the last son of Ezechima. Every Ezechima clan agrees that Oligbo is the last son. Agreed. But Oligbo inherited his father's throne. Where was his father's throne? Where was the throne of the father of Oligbo, which is Ezechima? Okay, let me ask this one. Where is Isel Oligbo today? Isel Oligbo is Iseluku. It's boldly written at the entrance gate. Isel Oligbo is Iseluku. It then means Ezechima inherited, Oligbo inherited what his father Ezechima had. But where was the properties of Ezechima? Let me remove kingship first. Where was the house of Ezechima that Oligbo inherited? Where was it situated? In Iseluku. Oligbo did not come back to inherit his father and went to found or develop another kingdom. No. We all agree he was the last child, but he inherited his father. Onitsha is the first male child. Obio is the first female child. Yes. But where were their father's belongings? Where Kabenado wa uno, Kopuno wa, Opuno, Kabebo Opuno, Ezechima. Opuno Ezechima is Iseluku. Opuno Ezechima is Iseluku. So Oligbo inherited his father's place. He took his father's place. But where was his father's place? It was in Iseluku. Oligbo did not inherit his father and start a new kingdom. He inherited his father and continued from where his father was. And he continued as a king. Obi Oligbo, you cannot be a king if your father was not a king. So, if Oligbo inherited kingship from his father, who is Ezechima, then Ezechima must have been a king. And if Oligbo inherited the kingship of his father in Iseluku, Ezechima must have been a king in Iseluku. It's not a simple thing. So if Ezechima is a king, and they said he was the last child, no wahala, he was the last child. But he inherited his father's throne in his father's homeland. Where was his father's homeland? Iseluku. Where was the father's throne? Iseluku. How then do you not think that Iseluku people would have every right to say that they are head of Ezechima clan? They are ahead because the stole of Ezechima was in Iseluku. The children cannot be greater than the father. In this context, though, because I know, obviously, you want to be greater than your parents. But till date, there are laws in some communities where you say, even when you kill Okpono, you cannot sell Okpono. No matter how developed a community is, you cannot sell your Okpono. It shows how significant the Okpono is. And there are some family meetings that if you must hold, you must come to Okpono to hold it. So, is Iseluku right to say that they are head of Ezechima clan? Yes. Why? Because Ezechima was a king in Iseluku. His children only inherited him. Oligbo, the last child, yes, but he only inherited his father's throne. Where was his father's throne? In Iseluku. In Iseluku. That is why when Iseluku said they are head of Ezechima clan, this is what they are saying. They are not saying they are the first child of Ezechima, no. They are saying they are the stool of Ezechima. Ezechima was a king here. This is the Opono. Is what they are trying to say. They're not trying to say we are bigger than. No matter how, see how big Onitsha is. You can't compare the bigness and the development in Onitsha, for example, to that of Iseluku. No, Onitsha is bigger. Where is Onitsha the Opono? No. Onitsha is not the Opono. It's not possible. Iseluku is the Opono. It's good that children will grow and be big and be bigger than their parents, but home is home. Home is home. This is why when we say we are head of Ezechima clan, this is what we are trying to say. This is the original Ezechima history as it is. I've left some areas out so that but if in na try Ezechima Ezechima was a king in Iseluku. Therefore, Iseluku people have always agreed that they are from Benin. So Abunandi say Bondi Bini, only Bogabuzi where only Bogabuzi Bini. The whole of Iseluku is telling you that our ancestry is from Benin. And you say the king there is an Igbo man. How can an Igbo man rule over Benin people? Do you understand what I'm saying? So, when they got, the children of Ezechima got to the palace of Oba of Benin, they said, Ovise. I said, they did not say Ovise Leo. They said Ovise. Why did they say Ovise? And who is Ise? Oh my. Who is Ise? Why did they say Ovise? Ise is the father of Ezechima. Ise is the father of Ezechima. And Ise's name being pronounced in the Oba's court in Benin is because he was a Benin prince that was quartered at Ukunzu. It was only when the third Ogi of Iseluku had passed without the heir apparent that the Oba sent a Benin prince from the royal court of the Oba of Benin to go and rule Iseluku, because Okunzu still Iseluku. So it is only making reasonable sense that at the palace of the Oba of Benin they would say Ovise. They did not say Ovi Ezechima. Ovi means son or children or child in Benin language. They did not say Ovi Ezechima. They say Ovise. It is said that they knew at the past. They didn't know Ezechima. As much as they knew Ise, because Ise gave birth to Ezechima, and Ise was from the royal court, or from a prince from the royal palace. That is why they introduced the children of Ezechima. Say, Ovise, Ovi, Ise, because Ise was a prince from the royal palace. Ise gave birth to Ezechima. Ezechima gave birth to Obio, Onitsha, Olibo. Ezechima had a brother, Anaba. Onitsha had a child, Oheze. Oheze had Aba and Chimevi. Olibo had Owele. These are not mystical creatures. I read on Facebook the other day, somebody said, Ezechima, a new tale of Nri. A new tale. Community, a clan that has 17 communities, existed over how many hundreds of years, and you have, you say a new tale. It's not fair when you try to destroy people's history. It's not fair. How is Ezechima a new tale? A new tale. 17 communities or more existing over hundreds of years with royalties and archaeological facts. 1505, Ezechima. 1484. And you're saying that, well, this is the real history. I'm glad this is Facebook, so this video is going to be here for years to come. And I said at the end of this thing, you would become authorities yourself. You become authorities yourself on the said topic. You would become authorities yourself on Ezechima topic. So if anybody asks you about Ezechima, go back to this video. Listen to it over and over and over again. If you're not satisfied, find this book, The History of Ezechima and the Emergence of the Mighty Ezechima. It's like 5,000 or 7,000. Buy this book. This book has been an authority on Ezechima history for over 30 years. An authority. Buy it. Okay. This is Ezechima's story. Not a new arrow on retail. Ezechima was never an Igbo man. If he was, where are his fathers from Inri? Where are his children in Inri? Where are his uncles in Inri? I just told you Ezechima's brother was in Obompa. I'm giving you location. I'm giving you dates. I'm not giving you tales by moonlight. Ezechima's father was Ise in Okunzu. You ask Okunzu people if they don't know they have historical link with Ise Loko. They will tell you they have. Go and ask Obompa people if there's nothing like Ogwanaba there. They will show you the place. Go and ask Obofu people if there's no place like Agwachime. They will lead you to Agwachime. You say Ezechima is from Unri or Arochukwu. There are no facts to back it up. You just say a new tale. Something that has existed over 200 years. You're saying a new tale. No facts to back it up. Nothing. I've just given you truckload of facts. Obio is there. Ezechima. Onichamili is there. Ezechima. They have a shrine there. Imobi is there. They have another shrine in Obio. They have Agwachime in Iseluku. So for Ezechima, we know where it is there. Why are all these things not in Inri or Arochukwu? Why? If you go to the beginning of this, you will see when I was saying that the mother of the Oba of Benin, is not the one you will meet in the farm. That Ezechima met the Oba's mother in the farm, and you cannot find the Oba of Benin's mother in a farm picking firewood. Tell them I said so. You cannot. So it's good when you're discussing history, you have to be very objective, factual. You have, like my father used to say, you have to remove oral history from facts. And you get the way my father speak that English. But you have to remove facts from fiction. Arrive at a reasonable conclusion. Who was the Oba during the time of Ezechima, 1505? You go to Benin, check the history. Please, can you make it call so I can call? Yes, man, if you want to call. How do I reach out to you? Okay, request. Okay, sure. Where's that person? You know. You're welcome aboard if you have any question. Dan Frank, I'm adding you. Bros.
Yeah. Bro, what's up?
No, welcome.
Please,
No.
just give me, I can't hear you loud. Let me get my earpiece.
Yeah,
Let me get
okay.
my earphone.
Okay.
Alright, just so we can talk more on this. I'm coming.
No wahala. Dan Frank Onyema. All right. I was supposed to round this up, but Frank has a question, so I'll probably just wait for him. Let him put his stuffs in order, then I'll fly. But thank you to everyone who has stayed and listened to this. I hope it wasn't too much, but while I'm waiting for Frank, I don't think he's going to show up. So that's the Ezechima story. That's the original Ezechima story. There are other Ezechima communities that would have other interesting stories to tell about Ezechima, but this is like I said, if Iseluku was not the head, then Olibo would not have been in Iseluku. So Iseluku was where Ezechima was king, and you can't have an Igbo man ruling a kingdom that said they're from Benin. So that's it. That's the Ezechima story. If you're just joining us at the end of the video, you can always go back and if you have any question you want to come on the live, please just request. If you have any point of view that you want to raise, please kindly request. I like to learn. I like to spread my tentacles and see what I can learn from other people. But this is the fact. I'm not going to argue this with anybody. This is the fact. This is the Ezechima story as it is. Ezechima was never an Igbo man. Period. Period. Never an Igbo man. So this has always been our history. So whoever is changing it now will always come out with the truth. Emmanuel, when you see, we're almost rounding up, man. So that is it. I waited for Frank Onyema, but he's not coming back. I don't think he had anything to say at first, but let's see. Just give him 2 minutes. Let's see if he shows up. So that is it. That is the Ezechima story. I've been saying I'll do a video, but finally we've had the chance to do this video on Ezechima history. And I hope everybody has had, one or two things to learn from it. One more minute on him now. Time is running out. Running out. Hey, boy. If I able na them. Welcome, sir. But I hope when you go back, you watch the video, you enjoy it. Welcome, sir. I see you. Welcome, sir. No, another. No. Fine, able, sir. Big boss. Doing so much. Doing so much. I appreciate you. We're almost rounding up, but I hope when you go back, you enjoy a few things we had to say. No, sir. I was just telling them that Ezechima is neither from Arochukwu or Henry. It's not a possibility at all. Not a possibility. Somebody wanted to ask me a question, so I'm waiting for him. Okay, I think he's back.
Yeah, hello, bro.
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
My brother. Yes, loud and clear.
Okay. Welcome.
I know Pokuma.
Yeah.
Welcome.
Okay. I joined your program, you understand?
Yes.
Not quite long, and I listen to it. It's a bang girl, you understand?
Yes.
So you know, see some things about Ezechima, Ezechima is now from that's He's not from Uri.
Yes.
I want you to break it down for me because these Ezechima things
Yes.
have the people because many people na say na wa go Delta Igbo. You get
Yes.
me?
Yes.
Yeah. Many people now say na wa border Delta Igbo na wa from Edo based on the
Yes.
culture and some certain
Of
things.
course.
So
Of
that
course.
that thing therefore is all the keep the confusing to people. I don't know if you are
Yes.
getting me because
Yes.
when you come now, it's a matter now. Like for example, when you say Lugu,
Mm.
uh, Alpha, because when you made some arguments the other day,
Yeah.
Alpha, because Alpha, now gossip what
Mm.
the madu sibia, you
Okay.
understand?
Yeah.
Because Ijaka Urobo,
Yes.
Shekiri, John,
Yes.
Usoko, ndị a nwe afawa
Yes.
when with their own
So I don't think this problem is okay. I think it's oh my god, somebody's watching this video that shouldn't be here. Okay. Okay. Um Interestingly, somebody is watching. Okay. So I hope Frank can be able to come back and finish his question anyway, but if I able not them only fit teaching I know you're very much enthusiastic and very, 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 very involved in historical facts of Eno and the people. Please drop all in comments. Drop the fine able or no we fit teaching and maybe I'll just allow a few, maybe one or two persons to say something before I wrap it up. So Bros Sumado, if I'm able, if you'd like to come online and say a few things, I'd really appreciate that. Okay. I was hoping bring me on. Okay. Thank you, sir. All right. Okay. Ah, bro.
Sorry,
Now listen there
I am on moto, so you have been putting a lot of light into this Ezechima
Yeah.
argument.
Yeah.
Because me personally, Munande Mado argue a lot, especially my Igbo friends here. You
Yeah.
know, and like the former guy that you brought in was trying to elaborate Alpha. And
Yeah.
most time I tell them why the Alpha changes.
True.
Sometimes because even from my own lineage, I have the history of my lineage. How the name started changing from the Bini name to Igbo name. And from what my dad told me myself that after a long time, people live close to the dominant majority. And sometimes you don't want to be seen. That immediately they call your name, people can actually say, people begin to name their children the name that is closest or to the dominant people, just to be part of, to simulate a little bit. And
to simulate with the terrain.
That's how our name changes. It's something like, and with that, my common argument to them is we all have English name. Does that, because true, my English name is Patrick. So because I'm Patrick, I'm now an Irish person.
You
It's
can imagine.
impossible.
It's
You know,
impossible.
it's impossible. But such are the name that we got through our baptismal name, and we try to claim that we are Christians, you know, by
Exactly.
our name. So, but that
Exactly.
doesn't make us lose our identity. So I really actually appreciate what you are doing, because even some of our brothers don't know, and they always, some people from Anyoma there, I will know the people, even from Monchubo, Iseluku, you see debating with me that they are Igbo people. I said, no, you are not. You know, so most of the time, education is what we need to be able to gain our culture and our mindset. Just like what is going on. I'm so pleased that most of our culture, because at the time, because now
exactly.
if ordinary was the way na ilo molo. Obodo Igbo ni no can chop one. Oh, when ordinary name.
Okay.
I'm happy that a lot of people here get preview to Buanoni Queen Elizabeth. They did not throw any of their culture away.
Yeah.
Because now what happened. So
Atolo what they got sacrifice the Queen Elizabeth.
I saw them. So because the more I Wahama, I have not the only way we can do it is to showcase it. And believe you me, anything you be able to showcase, people will reckon with you. And I use our Nigerian music and our Nigerian movie. Where we were growing up in Nigeria those days on Chubo Iselu, we don't play our music. Disco and all that. We are playing English music and all those. But now we begin to be proud of our music, and people embrace it. Yesterday I was listening to a radio channel here, and we were playing Nigerian music all through. So
can imagine in America
we are proud of it, you know.
Yeah.
So I commend you very much, because I commend you. I followed you. You know, anytime I come into that, I actually like to have a sit down with you and have one or two things, you know.
Always
because there's a lot we can do by, you know, airing our view, letting our people, even our culture, you know, you know, to promote it so that our children will know, our people we know that we have a very beautiful culture and we should be proud of it, you know. So I really thank you. But the question, I heard what you were saying, and I have a question about when you're talking about Onitsha. You talk about years. Can you relate it to Onitshubo?
You notice here, every time, like I learned from my father, I try not to punch holes when I'm giving narratives about people's culture, especially Beni Budom Budom. I wouldn't want to say something that might sound offensive in a way. But the history as it is, the history as it is, and I thank God you're from Onitshubo, sir. Yes, Aba, yeah.
Yeah, Aba, we have two Abas. We have Aba Umolo and we have Aba Umutenu.
Okay, and do they have anything relating to the royal house of Onitshubo? Royalty?
Yeah, they have something related to the royalty, you know, but because they are separate entity, they have their own king at the time. But after a long time, they decide to, you know, put everything in one, and it's okay. We'll give you your some certain title, but you can't have many things in one village.
So exactly. So I understand what you're saying. That's why I asked you the question, so that you going on the Chubok there, a question, so that you start understanding that. So that answer na Onitsha mo Ohezi. You understand that?
Yeah, I know. I understand.
Now, Ohezi had two children.
Okay.
Ohezi had Aba and he had Chimevi. Aba, which is what you corrected me now, the pronunciation Aba, and then he had Chimevi. Aba was older than Chimevi, but Chimevi was more warrior-like. If I got bonye, they rugged, enough. So Chimevi was able to subdue Aba, and Chimevi. If you check the list of the Obis of Onitsha, just after Oheze, you would find Chimevi. If you go through there, if any time you have a list of the kings of Onitsha, you'd find Chimevi immediately after Oheze. Now, when that happened, Aba Wanaigazi Ezenobu Chimevi, the younger brother, he now came, but he is the elder brother. He is the elder brother. Yanongwe, he moves here towards our side and established on Uchubo side. That is what the history says.
Okay.
That is why, and I asked you if Aba has anything to do with royalty.
Yeah, yeah. Okay,
Two
Abbas has nothing to do with royalty.
So you understand that it may now be making sense. But like I said, I don't really like to talk about other.
So what you're saying now is Oheze is the father of Ochubo. Is that if I'm getting you?
Yeah, he's the father of Onichubo. Yes, you can put it that way.
Okay.
But Onitsha is his father. But Onitsha Nwubo.
No, we get that.
So Onitsha was deleted from the whole scenario way back, even while his father was still alive. That's the problem of Onitsha. Onitsha was removed from the scenario long time ago.
So this history, where did you get all this information? If you don't mind
this is the book of Iseluku history that has been in existence since the time of Obiru Fososemene the third.
Okay.
This book was published by the Delta State Library Board in 1990, I think it was 1993, 1994. That was when the first edition was published. This is actually the second edition.
Okay.
So this has always been this has always been the pointer. It's everything I just told you now is written here, but I didn't want to say it like that because actually he offended. My own is to educate and bring out the notion that Ezechima is not an Igbo person. That is my main focus.
Which is good. Me, we know that, but most people, like I tell, is political. Igbo people trying to dominate is not political. To use our population to gain whatever political agenda they have. But that doesn't mean that we should not know who we are or should not educate our kids and who we are. Like I always tell, it's only we that can tell people who we are. Not tell people who you are. People label you, and whatever they give to you is what you get.
Exactly.
So the earlier the better we begin to identify, and letting people know who we are, the better it is for us and for all our people.
Exactly.
That we cannot be taken for granted and all those things. But
because it's political, like you said, it's highly political.
It's still political. Some people don't. Yeah, but it's good. We start like now. I appreciate this is your life. I will commend you. Do it more often in a way we can. I come into in a way we can have some question and answer and bring in more of our people, more intellectuals, more historians to put more light on it, because when we debate it, we'll be able to get more things out,
like we just did now, like this aspect that we just had now.
Get more knowledge out,
Exactly.
I really appreciate it,
I'll do that. I'll definitely do that.
Please, we have some. Even I was even thinking where we can start even going to, like you mentioned of our Ada and Benin. Most people don't know about it. We don't know the symbols and education. We need to start educating our people. Our culture, our cultural things, our OCC, everything that we use. We need to bring it. Get one or two to tell us story about it and all those things. The world is a small village now that anybody can do anything and we can't see. You are saying this. I know you are in Nigeria somewhere.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm in Nigeria currently.
Okay. Where in Nigeria?
Lagos.
Okay, Lagos. Okay. Now I'm here, and we have a lot of people seeing what we as we are discussing. Yeah. So if we begin to bring those things, because if you go to museums here, sometimes I go to museums here, and I see some of our belonging. That's when I was a deep Christian, I see them as idols. It's bad.
Yeah.
And people who pay money to come and watch it.
To come and see them.
See it. You know, it give me joy that these are the things we should be able to preserve ourselves. You know.
Yeah, though.
If we allow our place now, Obalie is in that.
Obalie is in that. Yes.
You know, some certain things that here may be Alice in that. Because who can be as a man, the one who can mission or more or Giomo. My godfather's father.
Yeah.
I wish all these things there's a way we can preserve it.
We can preserve it, yeah.
You know, because it becomes tomorrow. Those are what people can come into Onchubu and visit. We know we beautify it and keep all those things that they mystify to make us fear. And we can make a lot of things. People will come to look at it. They will eat our food. They will buy attractive.
Or the modern, yeah.
You know, it will create jobs. A little
that's true.
Job that people, you know, nearly for a weekend, need or little accommodation. I remember when I was young, one time I Hugo. You know Hugo.
Yeah.
I know.
I'm my Hugo. Yeah.
All of a sudden, I have phone your chassis. Imofia for only of the Tiloso. No, serious. Only of the Tiloso. Because you know it was later, after more time, I find out they are just researchers.
Oh,
you know,
wonderful.
So all these things we need to. If there's a way we can start incorporating this, because you say,
yeah.
You know, most of the time, because I think it's time we begin to, you know, explain most of the things they are doing there. Because
they are doing.
Go. I used to picture without.
We say a picture of Huapete living out the original things.
At every point to point, and we need to start cover if any way, man. We need somebody who is going to be able to. Okay, one naka. This is the purpose. What they are naka. Yes. This is what they are doing. This is what they are. And we begin to explain it. You know, I know there are some that is not going to be open.
It's not explainable.
It's not explainable because of the. You know, we need to have our own. You know, so all these things what we need to do, and I would like to come in actually. Now, Nigeria, I'll reach out to you in Lagos. And
no problem, sir.
You know? I just may look for office.
That's possible.
So I would actually like, but keep doing what you're doing. You're doing a good job, and because we'll start to add more things into it, and see
definitely.
Because our culture is something we need to seriously. We need to let the world know who we are, and let like true. I told my people in the jokers, well, you know, going to church does not stop you doing what, because anywhere we all go to, we keep the laws and tradition of that place. But when we come to our own, we throw our tradition away.
Yeah, we throw it away.
We throw our tradition away, and
we throw it away.
So well now.
I appreciate you coming in.
No problem. Thank you. I'm just have to get back to work. And then,
no problem.
Okay.
No problem. All the best, sir.
You too, man. Thanks.
Okay, how do I remove this? Change to viewer. Okay. Whew, that was a good one. Refining Abu, always a pleasure, madam. Like you said, we have to do more, and God willing, we will do more. My next live video, let me not reveal it, but you would like it because you have done an awareness on something like that before. So that is the next stage we're going to go into. But this one was to, like I said, I'm not going to be here to talk about the history of any other community or how they came about. So my own is to say Ezechima was not an Igbo man. Clear, simple. He was not. And Iseluku saying they are head of Ezechima clan was because Olibo inherited his father, right? And so for Olibo to be in Iseluku, it means Ezechima must have been a king in Iseluku. That makes Iseluku Obuno of Ezechima clan. Obuno. It's not the head. Olibo is the last child, yes, but he inherited his father's house. So the house of the children cannot be greater than the house of the father. So it's not, we're not dragging anything, we're not looking for any division or, and I don't, truth be told, I don't even put so much concern there. My concern is that Ezechima was not a native doctor from Arochukwu, Unri, or any such thing. It never happened. Because you cannot say he was from there. You don't know his father, you don't know his brothers, his children are not there, his relics are not there. There is nothing. Come on, man. You can't do that to yourself. Franco, let me just wrap this up because it's been a day. Okay. Winnie?
Yeah, hello, my brother.
Yes, sorry, I had to attend to the Oba Ebo, which was very, very interesting moment he had with us. So.
Yeah, I also listened to him and I
Okay.
get things he said. Like
Okay.
as I said, my brother.
Yeah.
But there's something I want to ask because
Yes, please.
I could remember one certain time I was watching Fate of Ebuyenga.
Okay.
I know you know him very well.
Now my
I
brother.
was watching one of his live videos. So when
Okay.
when Onitsha Anambra State, when they
Yes.
send delegates one certain time
Yes.
to come and visit our king,
Yes.
his palace, and there are things they explain in terms of brotherhood
Okay.
between Iseluku and
Yes.
Onitsha.
Yes.
Yeah. So now I want to know quite sure. I want to know more about it because if there is something like I was saying before, there's something I was arguing with one guy. If Iseluku, as they said, we have the culture of Benin. You understand? They
Mm-hmm.
also have some Igbo culture too. You
Mm-mm.
understand?
There's no
I'm,
Igbo culture. They
okay, I'm
have
coming.
Benin culture, Igbo
Okay,
language, and some Igbo names. You don't have Igbo culture. So you
okay,
need to understand those two things.
okay. They have only the language and some
They have the
names.
language and the nomenclature. Yeah, but they can have far. But
Okay,
culture is not the same.
okay. How come the name?
Okay.
How come the name? If
Okay.
somebody is not from there,
Yes.
because Benin
Yes.
answer their name straight.
Yes.
Edo people answer their name straight. Then
Okay.
Yoruba people answer their name straight.
True.
Ishekiri, Ijo, like I said before. Now, if they borrow that how come the language? I don't know if you
Okay.
are getting me because we
Yes.
have Okafor is in the east. The four market days, which is Nkwo Eke Orio Afo, is from east. I don't know if you are
It's not.
getting me.
It's not. Do you see where the
Nkwo,
problem is?
wait,
It's
I'm
not.
coming. I'm coming,
You
bro.
see,
In
Eke,
Igbo,
Oye, Afo, Nkwo
Nkwo,
is not from. Is not peculiar to the East. You'll be surprised.
but that is their major market name.
Let me give you the one of Benin. In Benin, they have a king as a market day. A king, E-K-E-N. Have you heard it before? Yes, as a market day. In Benin, they have Ukwo as a market day. In Benin, they have Ahor, A-H-O-R, as a market day. Are you beginning to see what I'm saying?
I'm getting you. Just remaining one.
They have Ekeaka, they have Abado. All these they are four. They are still four, but they have. But I've told you now. They have Ukwo, they have Ahor, they have Eke, Eken. So do you see that it's not peculiar, like you said, it's not peculiar to the Igbos?
But I'm coming. In Iseluku, they have Nkwo. And
in Benin, they have Ukwo.
And in East is the same Nkwo.
Yes.
They have Eke. And in East there is the same Eke.
They have
look at
it as a ken in
Eke.
Benin.
They change to tell you that
if you listen,
the language in Benin.
I get your point. See, if you listen to the last man that spoke, he was trying to explain something. I don't know if you listened. He told you that his generation, that is his grandfather and his great grandfathers, Ada Aza Afa Yanomwa Azazeketa, in terms of middle name. Let me give you an example. Me, for example, if I tell you the name of my great grandfather to the 4th generation, Omofoma, that is my great grandfather to the 4th generation. Omofoma is a pure Bini name. Omofoma onye monadem. That is a pure Benin name is Omofoma. Google Omofoma today. The origin you will get is Benin. You are the thing is I'd already planned to do a live video on this nomenclature and language, but I'll give you another example. Chukwu menayu jakaisi ishekiri. Click on the ishekiri. Worry people. Hey, network. So ishekiri people, anytime we come back, you hear ishekiri people see Benibia. Can you hear me now?
I can hear you.
So thank God you mentioned Ishekiri, Ndi Bini, Abi, Ndi Ishekiri, Ndi Wari. Ishekiri people are original descendants of Oba of Benin, Oba Olua. Through his first son, Ginua, established Ishekiri, Wari Kingdom. Manandi Ishekiri ada Azafa Bini again. Ndi Ishekiri ada Asu Bini again. Does it change the fact that they are still Benin people by origin? In fact, the relationship one way with Benin is still strong to date. Manawade is Yakwandi, wade Yakwandi Benin, whether we if my party indicate West with their names, they don't answer Benin name really now. Indi Shekiri. You got Ogeneru. If you know Benin as Ogeneru. Manandi Ishekiri Gaza, Ogeneru, Mana Ishekiri is Bini with direct. So,
but if you watch, I'm coming. Sorry.
Yes.
If you watch Ishakiri or Ijaw language, sorry to say, they are not sharing it with anybody.
But are they speaking the